Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today we're going to be checking out a mod, well really two, which will have a completely different playstyle for your usual Empire campaign, focusing around an Averland faction overhaul. Averland or Averland, depending on who you ask, is of course an imperial province, and in Total War Warhammer they're always represented to be very much the same when really they're not. So let's go check this out. So for this video I'm using two main mods, Averland Faction Overhaul and of course Mixu's Legendary Lords. Now the faction mod itself also does have its own iteration of Marius Leitdorf, but the thing is, if you're going to play an Empire campaign you of course want to have as many Legendary Lords running around the area as possible, and both mods are compatible. We'll explain that in a little bit. Now the purpose of this mod is to give you a completely new playstyle with a new feeling, so you're not playing a Reichland reskin over and over. Your campaign will begin as expected in the Imperial Province of Averland, meaning that you are in the very southern parts of the Empire, right next to the Badlands to fight some Orcs and Skaven, and of course right next to Sylvania, so you have a lot of varied enemies at the very start. What you would have also noticed is that you're pretty much surrounded at all sides by a number of different enemy factions. The Empire Secessionists will return here, but instead of being funded by Boris, they're being funded by Stirland, as both of you are laying claim to the moot. And there's also a bunch of Orc factions that you're at war with. One savage Orc tribe and the other is the Creeping Death, with quite a hefty stack at the very beginning of the game. You yourself start with two armies and you've pretty much got to fight off quite a lot of enemies. Now the reason why you start with two armies is because one with the Warrior Priest is intended with the Faction Overhaul mod, while the second army is Marius from Mixu's Legendary Lords. In fact, you will have access to another Marius which is from the Overhaul mod, but you can clearly ignore him without a problem. He'll be available in 5 turns and you don't have to recruit him. Nothing against the Marius of this mod, it's just I do prefer Mixu's as there's so many different Legendary Lords being added through that and they both work very well, so don't worry about any mod conflicts. Or at least through my own playthrough, I've yet to see any sort of mod conflict. Averland's new faction effects, the Golden Sun, is actually really extensive, so let's go check it out now. Suitable climate for mountain, growth plus 10 for all provinces, immune to mountain attrition for all armies, defender of the Blackfire Pass, which means stronger garrisons and good relations with Karak-Hern. At losing proposition, your army is surrounded in the Blackfire Pass. Accept the defeat, but take as many with you as you can. Just a quick note, you can actually defeat that big enemy army. It's not an easy fight, but you actually can do it. It's no problem there. Bad precision. Averlanders hit better with the closer they get to the enemy. So they're not very good shooters, but as soon as you get a little bit closer range, you'll be able to do a bit more damage. Basic training. Standard units have formations, training capacities, and are tied to buildings. Yeah, a lot of certain units have a lot of prerequisites. It might not sound like the most fun thing, but believe me, it's not too much of a hindrance. Plus, it's buildings that you're going to build naturally, and these are actually quite powerful units too, so yeah, it kind of levels it out. Shared claim to the Mootland means minus 60 relationship with Stirland, and Stirland supports the Separatists. So you're going to be dealing with Greenskins and Separatists at the beginning, and the higher difficulty that you're playing, the likelier the chance that Stirland declares war on you very early on. And then finally, diplomatic relations, minus 15 with the Empire, Kislev, Southern Realms, and Bretonnia. Yeah, a lot of humans hate you for some reason, which is a bit weird in all honesty, considering that obviously Reichland and Averland do have very decent diplomatic relations. You're a bit better off with the dwarfs though, but just pretty much Karak-Hern. Campaign victory conditions have also been changed, where a lot of the stuff will stay the same, you know, take out certain factions, control certain areas, or have someone through alliance, but you will also have to research a new technology, as this is to make everything a bit more stylized. This is all linked to a new technology branch which will give you some bonuses but also have a few campaign effects, like say for example the annexation of the Mootland, where you'll be able to get some casualty replenishment bonuses for your whole faction, but it will also spawn a new legendary lord. In fact, the mod itself has a few legendary lords which are acquired directly through this branch. It doesn't take a long time to actually get them, but it will feel more progression based than anything else. The prerequisites for those technologies has also been linked to your new building tree. As you can see, that's been changed quite drastically, as obviously the baseline vanilla roster for the Empire is not available to you. So you've got different buildings now focusing around a new Averland roster, which is completely drastically different, and it has a few different effects, negative and positive, such as upkeep reduction, or for example, increasing unit capacity, as some of your units will be linked to a capacity. But really, the idea of the Averland overhaul is not to play exactly the same as the Empire. You'll have access to a lot of guns and so on, but a lot of different types of artillery, whilst also focusing around some heavily armored units of different styles, a lot of gunners too. It's very different. So I'm not going to show off all the legendary lords, as of course I do like to leave some stuff for you guys to explore, but one of them is here, Wolfried Once. Now he's a halfling legendary lord, and you do get some halfling units. This is based on one of the technology unlocks, and he spawns right next to the moot. The other ones will spawn in different locations, so it'll give you incentive to fight different races and factions, which works out pretty well. Now, I've been able to play with the mod for a few hours, so I can give my opinion on it. The army is fairly large, mostly range focused as you can see, and it provides for a different type of playstyle. In all honesty, it's something to get used to, as your front line is decent, but you don't really have too much. In fact, most of the cases, you're going to be focusing around mobility more than anything. Of course, you still are able to use powerful guns, such as cannons, rocket batteries, and even organ guns, but I feel that you get the best out of this through mobility and cavalry. Think about this more in a firing Bretonnian army sense. With all that being said, I could be a bit biased here, as I myself am a big fan of Averland. I've actually got a decently sized army painted up in yellow and black for Imperials, as yeah, I just always liked the aesthetic. It's not a drastic change in terms of mechanics and so on, but it is something completely different, especially if you want to play Empire again but want something not so baseline. Being able to deal with the vampires early on also gives you a bit of freedom to work your way down south. A lot of Empire campaigns, you're taking over the Empire, then maybe working your way north to deal with Norsca and so on, whereas here you can just beeline straight for the Orcs. In fact, the Orcs will start to attack you very early on, so it actually gives you a lot of variety for enemies, and that's obviously the most important thing, because the Empire is in such a weird location in the map where everything is just other Imperials. It can get a little tedious. I'll have the mod linked in the description below if you want to try it out. Keep in mind there are some submods you will need, but they are clearly listed in the mod page itself, including an English translation, unless you want to play it in German. It's up to you if you want to download Mixu's Legendary Lords too, but keep in mind that it's one of the best mods on the workshop, and it will add a little bit more flavor when you're playing Imperial or against the Imperials and so on. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games, where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fame level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.